Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I'm a professional intuitive empath, and we're going to get right into the title of the video. Kill them with kindness? Empath. Let's chat about our strategy. A winning strategy, the right strategy, all the time. And I think that it's derived from a lot of spiritual practices, biblical and otherwise, where they say turn the other cheek. There is a parable told about Jesus turning the other cheek, and when someone questions him and says, how many times should I turn the other cheek? He says 70 upon 70, which would take us to some level of injure that would be essentially infinity forever, right? Turn the other cheek. That is a tricky endeavor when your feelings are hurt, when you want to retaliate. I'm going to walk you through something that I did that got me to a really healthy place and a good place in my life. And that was not acknowledging someone was trying to fill my life with strife. I let them smile in my face while necessarily they weren't happy for me. They didn't really care for me. They weren't my somebody, even though they were pretending to be, and they hated me and they ganged up against me. And it was bullying. Now, I've had several situations like this in my life, but I have not always responded to them right. And that's why tonight my angels asked me to share this because somebody out here is going through this, or someday you're now doing this, and you will be going through this, and you will need to understand about this strategy. Kill them with kindness is about not letting the people that are not wishing you well know that you understand what's going on. Allow them to be who they are. Now, I will say, honestly, it takes a certain level of maturity to do this. I couldn't. I was a big call people out or be passive aggressive and, skulk about and not really address it. I dealt with it several ways. And for my empaths here, usually we diffuse situations. And now I'm of the call out inclination 100%. But that's also and how it will lead into the future. So if you have wherewithal to withstand whatever they're throwing at you, whether it's a tsunami of words or smear campaigns or emotions or subterfuge, things that are never said, you never even heard. But if you're an intuitive, you've heard and see, I smell, I think, I dream, I hear songs, I decode things. My angels are always talking to me, always guiding me, always showing me a better way to be, always giving me incentives, always pointing me in the right direction. When I went through many years of betrayal in my situation, one of the things that I did was I stood back. I didn't have a summit. I didn't face the nation. I didn't address the person. I gave them lots of clues so that when the time came, and it did, they would know that I always knew. I knew. And the thing about it is different zodiac signs will behave differently. And that's something I love to talk about here. But just the way that my chart's set up, I was able to stay in the rear and observe. Scorpionic energy will take the hammer, like let's say a window, and they might start searching in the basement. I'm thinking of that building that collapsed down in South Florida. And Virgo energy, the way that they would deal with that is they would go to the root and see where was the structural damage occurring first. Where was the water break? What was leaking? How many years back did that occur? Attention to the details. A Taurus energy might decide to call it out and just be real. Taurus is pretty direct that way. Pisces might see it but then slip away, not wanting to face it, maybe saving it for another day until it got to be so big that they couldn't avoid it completely apart. Sagittarius energy might frolic and play and not take any of it seriously and run repeatedly into the same. Aries energy might fight the good fight immediately, impetuously, before they ever took a look at deep strategy. This is all of us in our higher or lower. I would say this is in the lower vibration for some of us, or higher vibration. Leo orange feel the pain and in their pride might want to make a big show, but they will deal differently. Cancerian energy will retreat. They will not want to be approached directly. They will not approach directly, but they have a lot of snarky energy for for whoever is trying to them, and they will never forget it. Same for Scorpio. If you're dealing with someone that's station and never let you know that they're in pain until one day they lambast you with an absolute truth. And even though it sounds crazy, it resonates. Think Kanye, think Donald Trump. These are Gemini examples. A Libra energy will use all of their words and they will be bombastic and they don't care if they are heard or not heard and they will say what they have to say, but they will also go into the other room and cry the pain away. Have healing. Aquarius energy will not ever let someone penetrate them deeply enough to require healing. It doesn't mean that they don't get hurt. It just means that they often leave the earth and they compartmentalize. They're very good at it. Disconnection is something they're fantastic at. And they usually have a sea of friends. So those again in a different direction. Capricorn energy would never even let you that close to get in because they are circumspect and they vet just like their closest family and friends. But if you were attacking them, then they would also too destroy you. But it would be something that they took a long time to do. Very scorpionic in that way. I hope I covered most of the zodiac so that you can understand the way that you might play when someone is playing mind games with you. Kill them with kindness is something that, especially as women, we are recommended to do. But again, when I go back to the fact that it was taught biblically, then it was always meant for us to see that we will always deal with enemies, and usually our Judases will be the closest. Now, here's one of the things that I enjoyed in my situation. Judas and I knew who each other were, right? And I'm not saying again that any of us are Jesus, but the parable is a parable and it happened for a reason. I let Judas know that I knew who they were. Judas let me know that they knew who I was. Judas was terrified that it would go the way it went. I thought about that as I was going over a chapter that I had written, and I thought about the fact that there were these very terse conversations where Judas would say to me, "Wow, you're really standing up for yourself. I'd really hate to see what happened if you ever had that kind of energy for me." Judas was terrified, and I licked my chops, my very Leo chops, because we do things with flair and panache. And the thing about it is again, the way my chart's set up, I have a little bit of Virgo in the stash, and that means that I can plan something out to the finest detail. I have a little Taurus energy, which is observant with truth and honest in a way that will hurt you and go back to your youth. I'm picking it all out. I have that Gemini rising, which means that I'm able to dance about like Cassius Clay, light on my feet with my wordplay. It was a delight. It wasn't a delight to be betrayed. I mean, who is ever delighted to be betrayed? It isn't a delight to break bread with Judas and know that they're lying in your face. Who is delighted by that? None of us are. But I planned my emotional retribution not because I thought I had to go sit and tell Judas, I see everything you did. I let Judas get away with it. I let Judas think right until the end that they I thought that they were a good friend. I let them have it. I drove away and I let them think I won. I finally vanquished her. I got to humiliate her. I got to diminish her. I got away with everything I was doing that was sneaky. I got away with being mean. I got away with bullying. I got away with profiling racially and otherwise. I got away with body shaming. I got away with discussing. I got away with being disgusting. I got away with triangulation. I got away with Judas is always messy. But I saw all of it. Kill them with kindness. My angels guided me when they told me what would happen, and then I predicted it. They said, cherish the last moments that you have with this person, because maybe in a past life she was your kid. And while we men, you get away from her expeditiously and move incredibly quickly because she's dangerous and she's vindictive and she has no goodwill in her heart for thee. They said, Judas, you instead insist because we have free will on sticking and staying, then this is a new strategy and a new game you will be playing. It is to kill them with kindness. When I exit anybody's life, because sometimes we'll be called to do that, I know I can say I've been a good time. I show up graciously, I show up honestly, I show up and I am kind. I show up authentically. No games are played. I don't have that in me. And an empath, for a lot of you, you don't have that in you either. So when someone goes out of their way to be malicious or catty, you don't relate. And it takes us a while to protect ourselves. But I was allowed to go through so many of those incredible experiences to bring this information to you. Just being nice on the surface will not do. There is a strategy to kill them with kindness. It's hard to see someone betray you and know that what they don't think of you, or maybe that they think they're better than you, or maybe that they think that you are less than them, and or vice versa. It's hard to still continue to be someone's friend. And some people listening might say, well, is that even healthy? Some of us are in situations where we can't extract ourselves immediately. So you will have to figure out that strategy. And for me, I did. And I have no regrets about how I played it because sometimes you have to act like you're sedated, like you had a lobotomy, like you don't see the things that you so clearly see. That is a winning and survival strategy. A lot of us coming from homes of abuse understand exactly how to enact that, how to play dead sometimes, so that we get to live another day. When I had all of that nasty energy from low vibrational people that didn't have any couth or respect for themselves lobbed my way, I thought, man, why should I stick and stay? But I had other little assignments within that. I had people that I needed to help. I had connections that I needed to make. Connections for your Judas, you ask? Yes. My angel still asked me to help Judas be connected with some parts of their family and to help protect another part of their family and to give sacrificially. Sometimes empaths, we are called martyrs. And in some of that connection, I martyred myself. But what I want you to know is that I didn't allow it to be a detriment to my mental health as I understood it. When you're in something and you don't realize that someone playing is playing games with you, it will affect your mental health. But I understood what I was doing. I understood why I was still being asked to be there, and I understood that I had to put on the veneer that I did not care, and maybe even that I would not stand because Virgo and Gemini love a good plan. And I thought, that Leo pride almost worked because it wanted to be very clear, I see you. But my higher self and my angels took over and they said, don't be. We all have a shadow side. And in order to survive some things, we will have to access it. I highly suggest you know your chart. You can look Vedic, you can look Western astrology. Most of us are familiar with Western, it's what's more accessible, but you can pull Vedic as well. But what I will say is know who you are, know or why you do strategy well. We each have something in our charts that help us like this. I can talk about what mine were and why I wasn't left in stitches as maybe the Judases wished that they could have left me in. Wish they could have left me for dead. It's an uncomfortable situation, but I'm grateful that I had it because it's something that was never, I'm never going to forget. I'm never going to forget that. And not in a hold a grudge forever way. You can't live that way. You can't drink that poison and expect, light and love in you to stay for a while when you are going through that transfer. If any of you guys have seen Black Panther and you see when he gets his extra superpower liquid from these magical caves, he is not feeling great about it. It's almost to have someone lie to your face. It's painful, but you do take on a certain power and an energy transfer can happen, but you have to be so careful. To kill them with kindness means to show up even when you don't want to, and to take care of the rest of the assignments that were given to you, and to do the things that you need to do. Once my assignments were complete, my angels were very clear with me. Also, why message it's important to have your own relationship spiritually. They were very clear with me. They told me things to do. They told me when to pray. They told me when to spread holy oil to banish demons away from children. They told me when to cross myself, like you see Catholics do, and say, never again will I cross these walls. I was given instructions in every single pratfall, with every cold stare, with every sabotaging moment, with every silent treatment. My angels were on it. They said, we allowed you to be here. The powerful thing about the story of Jesus and Judas is that God told him Judas is going to betray you. And Jesus was cheeky, wasn't he? Because he said to them at dinner, one of you guys will betray me and some of you guys will deny me, and he went down the line and he talked about all of the things that would happen all three times because he didn't like the association to Jesus and he was fearful for his life. People act out for different reasons. Judas had been plotting and scheming the whole time, and Jesus gave the clue. You know what he did? The bread he ripped when he said, "This is my body given to you. Eat this in the remembrance of me." He put it in Judas's hands first. Judas sitting at his right hand, Judas his accountant, Judas his best friend. That's his best friend. Knew that Judas was the closest to him to do this, and Judas did. And he still wanted to give him bread, that he had access to the bread, the money, that he was never treated funny, that Judas taught him his skill set of raising people from the dead, of creating and having miracles happen, that Jesus made Judas a rock star, if you will. But Judas decided to take the bitter pill. That didn't stop Jesus from killing him with kindness. He served him. He served his Judas. Judas has such a power synonymous with buggery and betrayal. It is synonymous with the kind of person, the closest friend to you, that could do you any kind of way for whatever they thought they were going to gain. Someone who will sell you for nothing, for shekels. That is a powerful memory. Judas is immortalized. He is infamous. Infamy is what happens when we are famous for a horrible thing. Some people, they were terrible and they enjoyed it. But Jesus, knowing that, didn't stop loving Judas or stop trying to teach him or stop trying to help him. But Judas didn't stop speculating on betrayal and practicing eventually leading him into the hands of his murderers. That would be Jesus. Here's the thing, empath. Course corrected. Kill them with kindness is a thing. Strategies matter. And with a well executed strategy, peace will be brought to your life. It didn't feel good every single and heard things that were horrible, but still, I insist. They asked me to kill that person with kindness. Never, as we were in each other's scope, could they ever say that I sent any negativity or their way. They had tantrums and they were entitled. They didn't like being rejected. Judas, has these issues, a lot of ego, a lot of shadow, nothing worked through. I understood what the triggers were, but I also understood what I didn't do. And what I didn't do was set out to cause pain. I set out to have clarity. I set out for communication. I set out to be the best I could be. Someone can sometimes just hate you because your light aggravates their demons, and some people are possessed. It just is what it is. And even with them, you cross your chest, like those Catholics, and you say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. But we are not Jesus. That doesn't mean that you let your Judas have another chance or opportunity to get through. I think we were allowed to see that story to understand those allegories and understand that we will sometimes have to turn the other cheek, even if someone is spitting in our face and purposely trying to deplete our sweet empath energy. Maybe siphon it, maybe gossip about it, maybe think that we're down on our luck, not knowing that their life will be turned upside down, forever betraying us. They don't understand. And in that way, I felt sorry for some of the people. Uh, but then I realized while you're in the presence of people that are lost, certainly kill them with kindness. And if they want to assume you're stupid, then that's their bad, that's their issue. But there isn't more that our angels ask us to do. That doesn't mean that you can't cuss somebody out real good, because I have. But there are certain situations where that would go bad, and you have to discern for yourself which one you're in. I had a lot of people that I had held accountable. And that's why that Judas said to me, "Oh my God, I would hate to see whatever happened if you were to say that to me." I knew how fragile that Judas was. And it wasn't that I cared about their feelings, because clearly they didn't care. God said, but Jesus said, but my aides have a bullhorn. You'll have a platform, you'll have a book, you'll have a deep dive and an investigative look at the depths of covert narcissism, of mental schisms, of faux badly done polyamory, of racist Southern women with limited brains who were never interested in being anything but the same. They wanted to be homogenous. God bless. Bless their hearts. I got to do the work that I came here to do. I got to do my part by not reacting when I was being provoked and treated badly, when people were being racist and unkind and bullying to me. And that's not how I handled every situation. There are brother in laws and sister in laws, there are faux friends and ex co workers that have all heard a different side of me. But in that situation, I was guided exactly how not to be, and it saved my life. Sometimes people want to see you out of your character. Sometimes people want to see you in your dark night of the soul. They love to see you lose control. It would have delighted my Judas for me to fit the narrative of the racist that she surrounded herself with and the racist that she was. It would have delighted my Judas for them to see, oh my gosh, this big old woman is devoid of all love when all I had ever done, like Jesus, showed us all, was to love her. Treat your neighbor as you would treat yourself, the golden rule. Thought not named golden in the Bible, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, is the scripture. And my angels said to me, do you get the picture? But I said to them, I argued back just like many of you do, but do you see what they're doing to me too? Oh, they said, oh no, not only did we see, but we orchestrated this to happen to you. We allowed it. That's the thing. In the story of Job, when he cries out and he says, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? When he's been having plagues and issues with his body, and his family's turned against him, and his wife has cursed him, and the devil has had a conversation with God, and he's like, listen, God, Job is your most faithful servant. But it's because he's just had like a really good life, rich, he has children, he has a wife, he has businesses, he has beautiful crops, he has a great house, he has servants. Let us take some and let's see if he still wants to serve thee. And God said, I trust the heart of this man. So test him. I allow it. I sanction it. Sometimes some of the worst things in our life are allowed. And the reason that I knew that what I went through was allowed is because at the end of it, God said, to me, Monette, he said, you made me proud because you dodged bullets that you couldn't see. You dodged attacks that you didn't actually hear. You employed an empath strategy, and you did it by lending us your ear, meaning us, your angels, your spirit team, your ancestors. You did it by not giving into fear, which is what Judas was operating in. You did it by not giving into, by not succumbing to negativity, which is all that you in him. You did it by not devolving into your deepest, darkest sin, which Judas would have licked his chops and delighted to see. You did it by really giving life to me and putting your life in my hands, even though I sanctioned a test that you never knew was planned, and you passed with flying colors. That brings us to the verse in the Bible where they say, well done, my good and faithful servant. There were words that came into my life after I passed that test. Not acting on impulsivity, not acting of revenge, not acting off of reactions because I didn't get my way, very much like Judas. All of this was orchestrated out of illusion and imagination. Whatever was going on in Judas's head, all conjured. The Bible shows us, and it was no different in my situation. And for many of you, take a look at your Judases too. I'm sure it's the same story. That's why it's called allegory, because it can be applied to year after year, time after time, decade after decade, century after century, for thousands of years. BC, AC, DC. Metal story. Metal, that's the word for it. It's gory to be gutted by someone that's close to you. But if you can hold your composure and listen to your angels, I promise you get through. Sometimes we have the satisfaction of cussing people out, and sometimes the satisfaction is that we never did. They have to live with that if they even live. Because what do we know about Judas? He killed himself. That was the end of his story. Some of the people, metaphorically speaking, do the same. They hang themselves. In my situation, I allowed my Judas to have enough rope to hang herself, figuratively speaking. I allowed to think that me that would end up leaking, but it was her that would end up leaking. It was her that would end up in lack because without me there holding back the hellhounds knew that nothing but destruction would befall her in her lap. And why? Not because I wished it for her. Empath, that's not our job, but because it's what she trafficked in, and it would be returned in kindness over and over. And kindness was nothing she had in her, not for me. Kindness was things she had for other people that ended with E, not me. And interestingly enough, demons come in different forms, and her Judas was also by her side. God showed all of that to me, and He said, "Do you want to be along for this ride?" He says, "I have some specific things that I need you to do before you disembark. And if you listen and if you do your part, not only will I bless you so abundantly, but I will replenish the years that the demon Judas has stolen." The Bible verse is, "God will restore the years that the locusts have eaten, and my God, have I been feasting." And ironically, a little cherry on top is that my feasting has caused my weight to drop. When you're living in good and plenty, that's a paradox, right? Let me explain. My weight dropped when I stopped being defamed and I stopped, let's not put some respect on my name. Empath, you're allowed to demand that people put respect on your name. I didn't have to do it by flying in her face and causing a big scene and making a big disgrace. I did it by holding my integrity, something she could never understand and never be. You get it? Many of the people that try us are devoid of integrity. Even though she was so happy that she felt like she one up me. My angel said, she will be smited immediately. They said she's a fool. Like many of the people surrounding you that didn't know that you were the one that held the rainbow. Let's talk about that. The rainbow is what God put up after the flood. And He promised Noah, "I will never again destroy the earth by water." So, our world, we can talk about the ecosystem, we can talk about Neil deGrasse Tyson, we can talk about the atmospheric bubble that we're in, but once it is traceable that we were all mostly water. And that had a lot to do with these biblical things, whether you believe in all of that or not. But what I will tell you is the rainbow was the promise from again. We, rainbow, let's associate that metaphysically, the chakra, dealing with all of the balance that we bring, that we empaths tend to be. Now, that doesn't mean that we're always in alignment, but if we are, the rainbow representation, I brought balance to Judas and her nation, and so many of you have brought balance to the Judas. You get it? So when they think that they're getting us out the paint and they want us to go away, and the other devils around them can't stand our light, and her cohorts were as eloquent as that. They're quite Cro-Magnon. And it wasn't that I was just there and I made her like magic. She's an autonomous person and she could do what she needed to do and she could create and manifest. And I taught her to, just like Jesus taught Judas. That's the assignment that we do. Again, I always like to make it so clear. Jesus is something we can aspire to, but be clear, my dear, none of us are Jesus because I was not perfect in my application, but I did listen to the best of my ability to the wisdom that was given to me by my angels, by God who spoke to me in His own way directly and said, "Do not get in anybody's jail. That would be the fail. That's exactly what Judas wants you to do. Don't go try to fight the world. We'll take care of you. The people that you separate from were benefiting from you. They don't even realize that you were the sauce. Y'all know that song? It's a rap song. I got the sauce. I got the dressing. Yeah, you were the sauce. You were the drip. You were the secret recipe. And then when they thought they had siphoned enough of your energy, they thought, let's discard. This also goes to the path dynamic, right? Let's discard. You no longer are of any use to me. And here's the jig and the trick that's up is we were the only thing filling their cup. Message and a quick surprise because without you, they can only generate lies. They don't have any good energy because that's not organically who they were meant to be. Some people are literally here to be succubuses. Some people are literally here to be terrible people in lower energies. They're not good people. They're never meant to evolve. They posture. They don't think. They are truly one dimensional and they're happy with that. The superficiality runs their life. They don't care about that. Empath, if you've ever asked why you weren't conventional, maybe if you weren't in the right package, right, quote unquote, you weren't in the right package and you didn't feel it belonged and you felt like you were awkward, you're purposely wrapped that way. I have videos here if you want to go see, talking about Beauty and the Beast and the High Priestess by the door. Sometimes are cloaked in rags and people think that there is nothing more. And it's because we're being a test to them, whether we even understand we are a testament, we are the testimony. We are allowed to be around people who see the things that we see, know the things that we know, and they're allowed to treat us exactly how they want to, but there will be consequences for how they do so because we are the test. I advise to you when you see a homeless person on the street or you see somebody in the Bible, they talked a lot about leprosy. You see someone who's quote unquote the underdog, send some love and light and energy to them because you don't know what fog they're in or what kind of angel you may have just crossed paths with. The people that have treated me like dirt now understand and reach out to me purposely. They are guided to me. People that I've had to check, some people I cut off and I'll never say yes or answer to. But some of the people that I have course corrected have told me it's always you. It was always you. How did I not? It was always you. And some people apologize. That's nice too. But I'm never deceived or taken fully in because I know that in all of our including me, and I know that sometimes our steer us in the wrong direction. And what I'm saying this for is empath, you need to still have protection just because someone acknowledges what they did to you. If you had to employ the depth of strategy I began the video about, that's not somebody that can be let back in. There are minor offenses, right? And the offenses can be tiered. And also, who have we offended through the years? That's something I had to look at. I had to look at how my karma paid me back. I had to clear that up. I had to clear it out. I had to understand the truth of what karma and dharma were about. But, and then I made amends. Then I opened my mouth and I gave the right apology if whomever allowed me back in their life to do so. Fortunately, I hadn't made such a ruckus or such damage that that wasn't a possibility. But there are many people in our life, empath, who have. And your angels are guiding you to let them stand back 20 feet, 60 feet, a million miles. If you would walk 500 miles and you would and they shit on you, it doesn't matter how many apologies they have in their heart, how many tears they've cried, would be you betraying yourself. It doesn't mean we don't forgive. That's how Jesus taught us to live. Of course we forgive. But it does mean that you smarten up and never let a Judas near your cup because they will try to poison it once again, just out of hubris, just to get another win. Judas is a gambler. He doesn't want to count his money, just yours, when he's sitting at the table and he turns into a fairy tale and a fable when the counting's done. Some of those relationships are always fake. Some of those relationships are always designed to take. Some of those relationships were designed to wake you up. That's why Judas was allowed so near to your cup, the poison cup. It's a tale as old as time. Caesar and Brutus, Jesus and Judas. Isn't that something? What is it about those best friends that we let so close and let so in that betray us? Why does tree on a Judas in your life shows up? It's also powerfully blessing. Let me help you. It is letting you know that you've been vetted by your angels and ancestors. And if you get through with the right strategy and you kill them with kindness and you offer the bread to your enemy, you offer the knife to your enemy to stab you energetically, to cut you in the hardest and softest of places. They All right, guys, we were disconnected there for a second. Well, I guess God stopped me for a reason. Let me see. Oh my goodness. So many comments. Let's see what's going on here. Hello. Glad to join you tonight. So glad to have you join me, Masinius. Hey, Masinius. Hey. Earth Angel. Hi. Wow, very much so my story. I needed to hear this. Thank you. You're welcome. Masinius says he's enjoying the conversation. Earth Angel says yes. Yep. Amen. Masinius, I took good care of my Judas despite knowing my gut feeling. Then was one day I was like, that's the last time I'm going to be in their presence. Masonius, I so relate to that. It literally it literally was exactly how I felt. I felt like I'm not going to I just knew. I knew. I remember exactly standing in that person's trailer and being like, this is it. Never these MDF boards shall I cross again, and no hate, y'all. My first home was a trailer. My point in even mentioning that is to say that nothing in their life ever changed. That was my first home when I was in my 20s, and that was a place that they decided they should still be for whatever reasons. And if that's your situation, then again, no judgment. What I'm saying is, I think we all change and we fix something up and we evolve. Our Judases don't usually change; they're really stuck in their ways, and that's one of the things that I noticed. That was a weird little thing that stuck out to me. I thought, even if this were my reality and I were to have stayed in a mobile home for my whole life, I would have like made it into like my own little life and fixed it up and painted it and done a million things. And I noticed that Judas just didn't care about other things like that. And not all of us care about aesthetics. And it wasn't just aesthetics, but it's like the drive to improve or to strive for something seemed to be devoid and defunct in that person, and it permeated the rest of their life. But yes, we all have that moment when we know like we're never going to deal with a person again, and you just smile. I smiled right to the very end. She had no idea, and it was to my great delight, but I was being guided and shown wrong and right and how to deal with the situation. Masonius, let's see. Archangel says, yes, we give them power, energy when we have fear and start to hate. When our presence is removed, they become depleted of everything. That is absolutely true. Or the angel says, then you understand how truly powerful you are. I'm so glad that this reconnected. I was like praying to my angels. I'm like, guys, can you please connect the internet? I was having like an internet snafu. You are absolutely right. That is truly when I learned the depth of my power. And I liken it to this, and I've said it in other videos. If any of you guys have seen Lord of the Rings, the White Witch Kate Blanchett plays, which I just love Kate Blanchett and everything, but this was such a powerful thing and it stuck out to me. She was always good and kind and sweet, ever the epitome of the empath, right? The personification of an empath. But then when she got the ring, because we all have a shadow, and the ring brought out everybody's shadow. If you guys are familiar with the Lord of the Rings trilogy, you guys understand. But the ring brought out everybody's shadow, and I remember the scene. And at the time, it was great CGI for the time. If you look back at it now, it probably will look a little hokey, but at the time, it was brilliantly done. And I remember her being like, I am the greatest in the land, and you will obey me. Like she was like super ego, super id, super shadow. And my angels had me pay attention to that. And they were like, this is in every empath. This is in you, Monette, too. You can be this egoic, but here's the thing. If you temper it right, then it's just power and you're bright. And so when that happened with me, with my Judas, I saw the brightest light. I knew how angry I could be. I knew how reserved and measured I could be because I didn't express any of that lower vibration, shadow side, egoic energy to her. She never saw that in me. She thought that I was a dummy. She thought that I was a doormat. She thought that I was soft. She thought that I was to be laughed at, to be made fun of. She thought that I was the butt of the joke. She had no idea how I would spin her top in her world just by removing my energy. That's the power we have. The whole time I had played it up that she was magical and put her on a pedestal and done a lot of things that we do because of our own lack of self love and not acknowledging that power. I was scared of my power. And as soon as I stepped into my power, the rest of the world said, "Oh, we see you, boo." And I said to the world, "I see you too." But what it means is that we still temper it. The reason that we are shown the dynamic between Jesus and Judas and we have that experience is because we are gifted, like when God tested Job, because we actually have humility. To whom much is given, much is expected, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I watch in Judas them get a tiny smidgen of fake clout and power, and they turn into the worst of the person that they could ever be. And God said that's why never in that Judas's life, no matter how long she lives, whether she ever gets it right, we will never give her any heights of real power, acclaim, or financial stability because she's a terrible person through and through. And she demonstrated it to thee, me, one of the people, earth angels, that was put in her life, who was there to offer her stability and treat her right, and also would have probably blessed her financially and actually abundantly. That was my plan. I had so much money saved up to give her, and she just showed her ass. It was so funny to me. I was like working hard to make sure that she was going to be in a good space. And God said, "You see why we told you to wait." When I say that my angels and ancestors instructed me and guided me every step of the way, there was a moment where I had told her, like, "I've been saving like a penny or two a day for the last couple of years because I knew that your son was going to graduate and I wanted to give you like $1,000. It wasn't 1,000, it was more than that. And but I told her that, and I was kept saying like, I'm just going to send it to you because I'm impatient that way sometimes when I love somebody. I want to like get them the thing right away. And for some reason, it just didn't work out. And some of the times, even she pushed back, like, "Oh, well, let's just wait till this or whatever, whatever." But the thing was, God was orchestrating it and had planned it. And had I have put that money in her hand, now money isn't everything, guys, but it was just a really powerful demonstration of how God was not going to allow me to monetize or fund her life in any way. He was like, "You are going to be blessed as soon as you move away from your Judas." Actually blessed. In fact, real money didn't come to my hand. Like, I was doing okay, but I wasn't in the place that I got to be and the place that I will continue to grow to be when I was dealing with her in any capacity. Does that make sense? And even I think that there's more to be done when I can really drop some more of her energy. You know, we're always shedding layers of our experience with the Judas. And when we really get to a place of pureness, I think then we just go to the stratosphere. But I so relate to understanding how powerful you are. For any of you guys that are nerds like me that watch Lord of the Rings, then you know the White Witch, Kate Blanchett, and you know exactly what I'm saying regarding that moment where she loses her effing mind and gets the ring in her hand. When I felt the anger for Judas, it didn't go as planned. Like, God had a plan for me. He was like, "Girl, play nice, be right, do this, do that." And the evil in me that was revealed, the fact that I was so hurt and I was so provoked, and so someone throw rocks and hiding their hands, meaning she was provoking me, she was being mean to me, she was talking about me, she was gossiping about me, she was violating HIPAA, XYZ to the third power. You guys know my story. All of the things. She was talking about all of the sensitive things that ever triggered me from childhood, and she was doing it, and she just thought it was so good and so delicious. And God, see, the devil's funny. The devil will whisper to you, and the devil was like, "You can destroy her." Like, literally, what you know about her, you could be so evil. And even in the writing of the book, I still haven't really revealed secrets like truly, because and really the depths of her depravity, because I said you don't even have to go low, make this educational. Like, I still have an assignment to do even in that. And they said, if you succumb to your ego, then we take it all back because now you are like her. They said her punishment is she'll never be you. Obviously, it's something she wanted to do that I wasn't even aware of. How many of you empaths here had people that wanted to be like you and you weren't aware of it? Does that make sense? And because we're empaths and we come from our little low self-esteem and our weird family dynamics, we're like, who would want to be like me? I certainly was like that. I was like, well, I'm a plus size woman and I'm this and I'm that. Who would be like, I had no idea the spiritual attack I would be under for jealousy from haters. And I know it sounds so immature, but it's the truth. Everybody's got a couple, and it's designed to be that way so that you can get to know the true you. Without her betraying me, I would have never seen that Kate Blanchett personification character. I would have never known how dark I could be. It was such a good thing to be introduced. I never even gave her an ounce, a fraction of the vitriol and the anger that I had that I could have sent her way. I actually restrained myself. God is so good. But yes, we are powerful. And that's when I knew for sure, oh, this is what was always in me. In a way, she might have been on assignment to help me grow up. I don't think she did it with any good purpose, but she did it to help me understand that I shouldn't give my cup to every Judas. And I'm not mad about it. Let's see what else. Messania says, I am the sauce. Once you remove yourself from their equation, they got lost. They became an exaggeration of you. Messenius, you said it so well. It is all true. I am so sorry for the dip down that we had regarding communication. I'm going to still upload this and see what comes up for whomever needs to hear it. You will hear it. Thank you for joining the discussion so late at night, Messanius and Earth Angel, and anybody else who popped in that I missed. I think that's it. I'm grateful for you. Pay attention to who's your Judas, but then also give thanks. I thank her. I bless her, believe it or not, because it was the best thing that ever happened to me. But killing them with kindness was my strategy. Again, I will reiterate, you don't have to do it with everybody. There was a good couple of 3 people that I got to say directly how I felt with all of my words. I also said some words to her too, but I did it with self restraint because I knew the damage that I could do, considering the damage that she had done to me. All right, guys, come back and join me next time, and we will continue to evolve together.